Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over the fundamental problem with the update system in Fortnite. So for those of you guys unaware, the Fortnite update system currently works on kinda an alternating once a week system. It's a bit confusing, but basically in most scenarios, we're going to get a patch every single week, with the first week being a more content-oriented patch, and then the next week being a more bug-fixing oriented patch. But at least over the last few months, every single patch that we get brings some kind of new item to the game. Now, I just want to make it very clear at the beginning of this video that I am in no way hating on Epic for actively making changes to their game. They should absolutely 110% be commended for it. They do 1 or 2 updates a week every single week, while other games similar in size go months at a time without touching anything 2K Sports. This video is going to be constructive criticism about how Epic Games should improve the update process, because there are currently some major flaws in it that are really hurting Fortnite. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So let's take a look at all of the new items that have been added into Fortnite since the beginning of October on this weekly schedule. On October 3rd, the Chiller Trap was introduced to Fortnite. October 10th, the Quad Launcher was added to the game. October 16th, the Quad Crasher vehicle was added into the game. October 24th, Fort Nightmares, Glider Redeploy, and the 6-shooter were all added together in one singular patch. November 1st, balloons were added to the game, and finally the most recent addition on November 6th was the heavy AR. As you can see, they aren't always exactly a week apart, but more or less it's a safe assumption that every week will bring us a new patch with a new item, as well as a varying amount of bug fixes. And the first problem I have with all of these new items being added is it really does take away a lot of the excitement that should be surrounding new item additions. I remember all the way back around a year ago when the Boogie Bomb was first added to Fortnite. Since new items were so infrequently added into the game, it was this kind of super hyped up thing that a lot of people were really looking forward to. If the Boogie Bomb were added today, people would kind of just give it a once over, maybe pick it up and try it once or twice in a game, and then pretty much forget about it from that point onward. And on top of that, the weapon and item pool in Fortnite is really starting to get oversaturated. For example, we have 8 different ARs in Fortnite. The regular AR, the burst AR, the FAMAS, the SCAR, the silent SCAR, the heavy AR, the scoped AR, and finally the thermal scoped AR. And honestly, only about half of those are even usable. Nobody uses the thermal scoped AR, at least on console nobody uses the normal scoped AR. The burst is one of those weapons that I'll only use if it's the first AR I find, and pretty much the same thing with the FAMAS. I'll drop a gold FAMAS for a green AR, and probably a purple FAMAS for a white AR. This one new item a week update system was fine back a few months ago, because there simply weren't as many items in the game at the time. But now, it's getting to the point where there's so many items in Fortnite that I'm literally starting to honestly forget that some of them even exist. For example, I had no clue that the guided missile had even been in Fortnite for the last few weeks until I saw that it was vaulted in a patch about a week ago. That's probably partially due to the fact that the guided missile has been disabled, vaulted, and re-returned to the game like 5 times, but also I'm sure it was literally just getting to the point where it was so irrelevant in the game that I pretty much subconsciously ignored it anytime I saw it. And there are a lot of new items that fall into that same category of being mostly useless or underused totally. Some recent examples include the 6-shooter, Quad Crasher, and the most egregious example of this, the Chiller Trap. The 6-shooter is basically one of those weapons that you'll only pick up if it's the first or maybe second weapon you find in a game. I can't imagine anybody goes out of their way to loot or even use the 6-shooter. The Quad Crasher, I guess, is kinda cool, but my question is it really any different than the ATK? I mean, they basically serve almost exactly the same purpose. Maybe the Quad Crasher's a little faster, and I guess the ATK sits more people, but is this really something that Fortnite truly needed. And finally, you can't discuss useless items in Fortnite without bringing up the now infamous chiller trap. This is an item that even from the very beginning, people had no clue what exactly the purpose of it was. And it's now gotten to the point where I will actively drop any chillers that I accidentally have the misfortune of picking up throughout the duration of a game. Seriously, the only impact that chillers have for me personally is delaying the switch time to a trap, launch pad, or campfire by maybe 100 milliseconds, and that enough is worth me dropping all of them whenever I get a chance. Now that we've discussed all of the new items added into Fortnite over the last month or so, let's take a look at the Battle Royale bug fixes contained in those same patch notes. In the October 3rd patch, which gave us the chillers, there were 4 bug fixes implemented for Battle Royale. First off, removed a change that was inadvertently introduced in v6.01, which caused Bonesy to bark more than was intended. Next up, we have pets are now hidden along with your character when the camera's too close to you. Third, toys now respect the streamer mode setting for player names and minigame messages. And finally, slightly increase the hitbox size on the fancy tomato to match its visual size. And keep in mind, this was one of the alternating patches that was supposed to be more bug fixing oriented. The very next patch included 2 total bug fixes, and the first one is literally an exact repeat of one of the bug fixes from the previous patch. Removed a change that was inadvertently introduced in v6.01, which caused Bonesy to bark more than was intended, and then fixed an issue that caused moving circles to be closer to the previous safe zone than intended. And sometimes these patches can contain as little as one singular bug fix. For example, the heavy AR patch had a singular bug fix of players hit by a boogie bomb while holding balloons will no longer have physics issues, they will now properly drop the balloons. And the content update before that fixed a super urgent issue by removing ability to rocket ride quad launcher rockets. Now obviously, I'm being a little hard here, and these are just some of the most extreme examples of weak bug fixing patches. Some of them legitimately do contain up to 10 to 12 bug fixes. Now obviously, not all of those 10 to 12 are important or meaningful bug fixes, but I don't want you guys to think that every single patch fixes practically nothing. However, the clear theme here that a lot of people are starting to get fed up with is how Epic is seemingly spending too much time on developing new items and not enough time fixing crucial errors contained in their game. I don't know what's happened in these last few patches, but it really does seem like Fortnite's gotten more glitchy and buggy over the last few weeks. Some example of these bugs/glitches that a lot of people have reported running into include glider redeploy audio being silent for enemies, gliders randomly not opening when attempting to redeploy, switching from shoot to build quickly makes your gun continually shoot on its own without being able to cancel it, player models for dead enemies not disappearing immediately and still giving hit markers when shot at, ghost shots which show the visual of a shot but don't register any damage. The list of these major issues goes on and on and on. And these are just the issues that have appeared in the game semi-recently. The thing that has me the most mad are the gameplay and optimization issues that have been in Fortnite for months now. For example, I really didn't believe it until I saw it, but apparently console Fortnite still has the issue where at the beginning of certain games, the map doesn't render properly. When that happens, you can't see weapons, can't see doors, can't see windows. If anybody else lands with you, it's basically a guaranteed death, and even if you live, well, you have to deal with your screen looking like Minecraft if it were on the Nintendo 64 in 1990 or something. Frequent frame rate drops are still a major issue for a lot of players, and that even includes guys who play on PC with really high quality gaming computers. And even though there are a bunch more, the final one I just gotta mention, which is probably one of the most annoying things in Fortnite, is the relocating issue when trying to spectate teammates. I believe this happens to everybody every time, so it's not so much a glitch and more of a feature in the game at this point. But if you switch from one teammate to another while spectating, and they're semi-far apart on the map, you'll get stuck on a black screen with a rotating gray circle for sometimes as long as 2 minutes. And it's not just a one-time thing, you'll have to stare at that black screen for the same amount of time whenever you switch back and forth between spectating spectating teammates. This has been in Fortnite for months now, so maybe it's simply an unfixable problem at this point, but if it is, I would love for Epic to actually come out and say it, and if it isn't, that's something that should get so much more attention than a new weapon or item that at the end of the day has about a 50% chance of being irrelevant after the first few days of its release. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to leave me a comment down in the comment section below. I kind of talked a bit negatively about the item implementation system in this video, but let's end it on a positive note. What is your favorite item that's been added to Fortnite in the last month or two? Me personally, I'd probably go with balloons, another method of fast travel that definitely isn't overpowered at all, but is still a really good and balanced addition to the game. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.